Welcome to Who Corner to Corner podcast. My name's Jeff, as I'm sure by now you know. And if you're new to our podcast, hello, my name's Jeff. Hi, and I'm joined by my good friend and my co-host Paul.
Yes, hi, that's me right here.
That's it. Nearly missed his cue there.
I've never hit it once yet, to be honest, Jeff.
We've got a long way to go to be out on deck.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, hi.
We've got to be Geordies for one thing, like.
So I just thought that...
And you've got to be a lot shorter. And I've got to stop interrupting you, because they're far more professional than that. Go on, mate. It's all yours. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I do this a lot, by the way. So I'll
start this one off by saying that at the moment, by the time this episode goes out, we're currently running a competition to win copies of the forthcoming Target novelisations, which are due out on July the 13th. And we've got 3 bundles of the 5 books to give away. So there's 2 of them. Mine are currently in a cupboard because I finished them. But there's Kablam, Waters of Mars, and Planet of the Ood as well. So to enter the competition, you need to like us on Twitter or Facebook, wherever you're, hanging out online. And you have to answer the question, which is, which book would be your Doctor's favourite? So we've been having some great answers coming in on Facebook, Twitter, and Insta. Yeah, some great stuff. So keep them coming. You're making it difficult for us to pick the winners, but we quite like that. So yeah, we got another week or so before we're going to close the competition and pick our winners there. But this episode of the podcast is cue dramatic voice. This is about the future.
The future of Doctor Who.
That's better.
Is that right? We both do it. Good. We both do it. Hey,
well, yeah. So anyway, we're going to have a chat tonight about the show and where it is at the moment and what's coming.
What's going on? What's going on, Jeff? What is occurring?
What's going on? We don't really do news roundups.
No, we don't. I think we should do more of these.
Yeah, we've done the odd one, but mostly we have a guest that we're talking to, or some other fans, or we're looking at an episode, or so we don't sort of tend to do them like this, and we have an episode come out weekly, but we don't always record every week. Depends on our schedules and other people's. And
you're just making excuses now, Jeff.
I am, yeah. We probably could fit it in, but anyway, we're here now.
We're here now, people. Hey there.
So
that's my YouTube voice. You like that?
No, I won't do it again. It's fine.
Let's not do that again.
Let's not do that again.
So I'm sure that everyone listening and watching knows what's happening with Doctor Who at the moment.
I don't.
Okay, well I'll recap it for you then. So we are waiting for the 60th anniversary celebrations to begin with the return of David Tennant and Catherine Tate under the guidance of Russell T Davies, and then the debut of Ncuti Gatwa as the next Doctor, which will be sometime around Christmas, maybe Christmas Day. Nobody really knows yet. So, Paul, let's put this over to you. What are you thinking and feeling about the future of the show?
I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. I am always excited, Jeff, as you well know, because I just look forward to Doctor Who. I just want more Doctor Who, more and more of it. I just want to see new stories, new companions, new traumas, new comedy, new laughs, new incidents, and more of those kind of epic moments. What?
Just to interrupt you there, well, you're lucky then that we've got David Tennant and Catherine Tate coming back.
Indeed,
new Doctor,
because
new companion.
Oh, there's sarcasm there. Well, do you know what? It's an anniversary, and anniversaries in Doctor Who are all about celebrating the legacy of Doctor Who, of which David Tennant and Catherine Tate are certainly a part of, as much as William Hartnell, sadly no longer with us, or John Pertwee, same, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Matt Smith, Jodie Whittaker, Peter Capaldi, and all the others that I didn't mention. Did I miss someone out? I might have done, actually.
You missed a couple there.
I think I missed out the War Doctor, John Hurt. John Hurt! Yeah. We've had John Hurt playing the Doctor. I mean, how mad is that? Legendary John flipping Hurt playing Doctor Who. That's how big this show is, man. That's huge. Yeah. Honestly.
So
just think about that for a moment. John Hurt. who did the thing in Alien, doesn't it? Hence the hat. Actually, it's my John Hurt hat, and a T-shirt as well. Alien, you know, and it's thing going on. He did that brilliantly. Apparently, they didn't even know that was going to happen. The rest of the cast, they just filled him up with pig's liver or something and just jettisoned it out of his, the fake stomach, and everyone freaked out, which is what Ridley Scott wanted. Imagine if they did that on Doctor Who now. Obviously, nothing quite so gory, but did something as shocking as that even the cast didn't know about. That would be interesting, because you know what? There are literally no spoilers. No, there are no secrets anymore. That's the thing I miss, actually. There's a lot of stuff going out there, so we know Bonnie Langford's back, which is great. Bonnie Langford, but would have been a nice surprise, Jeff. Would have been a surprise, mate.
We've talked about this before, and as anyone who listens or is will know, and if you're newly listening, you should know that we're big fans of the Tribunal era.
Very much big fans.
And
fans
there
of
was
all
a lot
eras,
of secrets.
I like all eras.
Well, yeah, we do, but the point is that
there were
we
secrets.
do like it a lot. There were secrets, and whilst there was commentary ad infinitum regarding the marketing of the show, I do believe that
some, but it's just social media stuff, man.
Well, I just think that
it's not like everybody in the world believes what a few people on social media seem to want to pass
true,
around themselves and amplify amongst their club.
Social media is not representative of the real world, but secrets are good. When you go to see a film,
secrets are good.
It's nice to not know who dies in advance and who returns, and what the ending is.
Although in the Moffat era, that was kind of for the part of the course, really, wasn't it? Someone's going to die. But don't worry, they'll soon be back. But it's really tense because you don't know who's going to die, but they are really going to die, and it's going to be like a major character. But they'll be back next week, maybe.
Yeah, which undermines.
and they'll live forever until they die again, and then become resurrected again. But that's the fun of the show, mate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the show needs to be, dark and full of death and all that. It's not really what it. Well, there's a lot of death, but it's not. It's not the companions and things. But I think secrets are good, and almost every week at the moment, we're getting a new casting announcement, a new set report, leak, and this, that, and the other, and it's sort of, the finer details are still obscured, but I know that they've been at Abbey Road. I know
I know
the Doctors were, and it is a fine line between hyping things and being shut away for a year, but
because now it's encroaching into Ncuti Gatwa's era, isn't it? It's like we've had a lot of stuff about the 60th anniversary, and now obviously they're shooting the full-on series 14, and we're getting a lot of stuff from that. We're getting costumes and hairdos and locations, like you said, and sets, and I mean there is.
Great. It gets it in the papers.
Yeah, it gets the journalists
online
talking about
it. Which is good, and I do understand the reasoning behind it. But when you kind of you know a lot of what's coming. For me personally, I would kind of like some surprises.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there will be some.
There will be some. Yeah.
There will be. Yeah.
But we have.
As for the overall. As for the overall future, or where we are now, like you, I'm excited. I'll be honest, I wish we were going straight to Ncuti and kicking off with him. I really love David Tennant's Doctor. I worry that him coming back might sort of undo some of how good he was before and stuff. And,
that's interesting. I never thought of that.
When a band gets back together again,
are they as good as they used to be?
Always, but then I will throw that out there. That I saw someone talking about this on Twitter the other day. So often, particularly with music, that people say, "Oh yeah, I love the early stuff. I like U2, but I like the early stuff."
So we're talking about U2 now, eh?
Well, yeah, and then I'll
just
get into
it's a random band you just pulled out of the air. Could be anybody,
just, or I like
could be
the
Fleetwood Mac
stuff, and it could be I like their early
stuff.
stuff.
It's not though, is it? It's U2, isn't it?
But what this guy? I think he's a journalist for Krang or something. Anyway,
God, I remember correct.
He said that people's sort of tastes get kind of locked in by their mid-30s.
Oh, that's interesting.
You discover your musical tastes and stuff, and then as a band maybe grows and develops over time, which they often do because they're creative people and they want it to be interesting for them. You get a lot of people going, I don't like that album, it's too different, it's too weird, I like the early stuff.
Oh, this is an interesting discussion we're going to have right here now, my friend. Go on.
And I think it's quite interesting because, for me, I like it when a band moves on. And, again, going back to the U2 thing, a lot of people didn't like the pop album, which
I love the pop album. I think it's brilliant.
Superb.
Yeah, it's good.
Kind of slightly... odd experimental type of thing, but it's not the early stuff, it's not Pride in the Name of Love. They can't keep doing that at the same time. I was talking to my wife about it the other day, and we had a bit of a laugh about it. She said, we were watching Elton John at Glastonbury.
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm totally off topic here.
Go for it.
Brandon Flowers came out from the Killers.
Oh, yeah, like dressed up in plastic. He looked like an Auton, didn't
he? Yeah, he did. And but we went to see the Killers a couple of years ago. Absolutely superb. But they play Mr. Brightside and everyone goes bonkers for it. And we were looking on Twitter after the Elton gig and people were saying, it's criminal that you brought him out and didn't get him to play Mr. Brightside. And I said to my wife, that song is 20 years old. Do you wonder why Springsteen stopped playing Born in the USA at one point? Because he was so fed up with people only wanting to hear that. And don't you think for, a creative or, a band to have people go, can you just play your first single? I know you've been going for 50 years.
Rick Astley was at Glastonbury as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So there's only one Rick Astley song, but apparently there was loads of it. I didn't see him, actually. I was kind of wondering, would he open with the song or would he close with the song? Apparently he opened with it.
He'll close with it. Oh, really?
Apparently so.
Yeah,
I thought he closed with it as well, but he opened.
Do you know what I mean?
Apparently so.
People sort of get hooked on, fixated.
I think, I do think there's a lot to be said that people think, and it seems to be, it's very widespread.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. It's the rose tinted goggles.
Partly that, but I think it's also that people assume that audiences like things to be categorised. I'm sure there are people who like things to stay in one box and be everything that the label on that box says. But you know what? You're talking about bands like U2 and even Elton John to some degree. They want to try different things.
Well, he was a lot rockier in the earlier days.
Well, yeah. Was it Keith Temple who told us he would take an early Elton John album to his Grand Serpent's Asteroid? I think it was Keith, wasn't it? Writer of
I think it was,
the Ood, Planet of the Ood. That was it. Yeah, top guy. So and as a creative, that's what you want to do because there's a lot to be said for mining one particular vein, and if it's a lucrative vein and it's going to keep you in nice posh palatial houses and give you lots of boats and chicks, then fine, why not? But actually, if you're a true creative, you've done that, move on. It's like the Beatles. The Beatles rarely had two albums that sound the same. They moved massively from the sort of early kind of pop type, rock type stuff, early blues type thing, right up to the experimental stuff. There isn't anything out nowadays that you can't trace back to what the Beatles did. Massively creative, and of course they split off. McCartney does his thing, Lennon does his thing. It's ridiculous.
And even now on his modern stuff, McCartney is doing things that
is he still doing things? Oh my gosh! I didn't know. Actually, I thought he knocked on the head. To be honest,
no, he churns out albums
still,
like Springsteen's knocked out about.
See, they just can't stop
in the last couple of years.
Just can't stop.
But why would they? Because
exactly,
it's probably a bit like Michael Jackson. Apparently he was always trying to top Thriller, and he never could. And I suspect for.
But was he trying to do that by recreating Thriller in some way?
Well, in a way, but like with McCartney,
find that vein again.
On the recent album, there's stuff that's old style Beatles. There's stuff that's a bit sort of more, guitar heavy, and then there's a couple of songs in there. And my wife said, "Did he write this? It sounds like something you'd hear in the charts these days." And he did write it, and he's obviously thought, "I can play those guys at their game." And he's banged out a cracking good pop song that's modern. But you see it with actors as well. You know, you give one performance in a film, and
that's you for life. Yeah.
That's Christopher Walken. You're great at doing that. Here's another 10 million.
He can't possibly do comedy. You know, he's a serious, you know, nutcase kind of psycho hippie character, oddball. Yeah, let's put him in that. He'll be great at that. You know, and really what he wants to do is play Jane Eyre or something.
Yeah, but then if he did, people will go, oh, no, I like the early
Well,
stuff,
this is it. But is it actually people or... Well, hold on. Right, there's two things going on here, right? There's a whole kind of put you in a box categorisation thing, right? But
it's the studios not
right, who think,
playing it
okay,
safe.
so if we stick everything in this box, stick a label on it, we can also put a price tag on it, we can sell it. We know there's a market for this, so bosh, out we go. As soon as that artist starts getting involved in other stuff, you know, whoa, where are you going? This is where all the money is. It's this box here. Why are you playing in that box over there? That's nonsense. Dragons are over there, sunshine.
I'm going to say that nostalgia is the enemy of all art.
Yes and no. I disagree to quite a big extent, actually. Right? Okay.
I've slightly hold on. I've slightly paraphrased Bono there.
Have you? Okay. There's always a danger in doing that, mate.
I don't think it's the it is the enemy of all art. But what I do think is that shooting up nostalgia like it's going out of fashion isn't necessarily.
Oh, see, don't be branching off into all kinds of different things here, right? Let me tell you about something else.
We're supposed to be talking about Doctor Who.
But it is relevant because Doctor Who does. It does apply to Doctor Who. We're obviously just using the bands as a metaphorical thing, but it's the same because a lot of these bands, like U2, they've been going around for years. Obviously not as many years. They've been around for 60 years. Right, let's talk about U2, right? Because I can answer this and not so much defeat your arguments, but at least give you an alternative viewpoint to consider, right? Now, I would not consider myself a U2 fan like you are, right? And, you know, which is fine. I've been to some of their big gigs, right? Shush, listen, right? But I like a lot of their stuff, right? And I do like some of the early stuff. I actually like quite a lot of the early stuff, right?
Shut up.
Listen. Just behave yourself. Put that evil demon to one side. Listen objectively, right? So Joshua Tree, right? Stuff before that, what was it? October, right? That's a good one. I love that. There's a few things before that which I don't know the names of, but I will if I hear them, right?
Boy and War.
Yeah, that's it. War. Yes, absolutely that, right? But October, I think, was the one where I really sort of sat up and took notice of. I thought that was pretty good. And some of their, you know, other live stuff. And they did Live Aid, which is brilliant. That was when the world seemed to take notice because Bono just killed it at that. It was brilliant. But I was still never a fan. It's like, so I liked some of their music. And then Joshua Tree came out. Everybody seemed to love it. And I liked bits of it. You know, I didn't mind the songs that were singles. It wasn't until I actually heard the rest of the album I thought, actually, I like the songs that aren't singles. You know what I mean? Like One Tree Hill and, you know, a couple of others on there.
I love In God's Country.
In God's Country, all of that.
Just going to add there that
Van Diemen's Land, was that on Rattle and Hum? Was that Joshua Tree?
That's right.
That is Rattle and Hum.
My wife quite often says to me, you're so weird. That's the end of that story.
Yeah, she's right. She's got a point, frankly.
But she says, you always like... you always like the non-single on an album. You like the weird one. It's not weird. It's really well-crafted music. It just doesn't have to fill a brief and sell loads of copies. It's just there because they made it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what an album is. It's a collection of songs. Not every track is going to be or intended to be a single. And you know, the singles are often... you know, like super, you know...
They're designed to sell millions of copies, aren't they? That's it. They're designed to be catchy, often, to be played on a radio.
Yeah. Well, but often, you know, in many bands' case, all the other tracks are just as good as the single. And also, now radio is essentially, you know, nothing these days. I don't think making an album to have such a strong... lead single is the same as it was.
Maybe, but like you said yourself, rose-tinted glasses are the death of all arts. So is applying those kind of standards in a very generalistic term, my friend. Right? Can I finish my story?
What I mean, sorry.
Right. Okay. So park that for a minute. Right? We'll come back to it. Right? But I need to address this whole thing about, you know, not liking a band when they do the new stuff and all the rest of it, right? So long story short, finally managed to get into U2 when I bought Rattle and Hum, right? Then I kind of went back, bought a few other bits, thought, yeah, they're really good. And then they changed everything with Acton Baby, right? Which a lot of old school U2 fans that thought didn't like, right? Because it's just far too out there. I absolutely loved it. That was much more my thing than any of the previous U2 stuff that I'd heard. So suddenly that whole Zoo TV thing, I thought was just brilliant. And it was right on the button of everything that I was into at that point. So this is what, early 90s, right? 91, 92, 91, something like that. So this is when the whole wave of cyberpunk science fiction was coming out. So all that William Gibson stuff and the Bruce Sterling stuff, the steampunk and everything, and there was a whole vibe around the kind of Germany with the Berlin Wall falling, getting knocked down and all that stuff, and this idea that the world was changing, and that suddenly images that just thrived in the mass media were becoming much bigger, more explosive, more vibrant, and more viral. So this is still pre kind of internet days, really. It's still all of that stuff, but it's starting to happen. All that technological change and the change of behaviours that goes with it, and somehow U2 seem to get that in that album, right? And Acton Baby is very dark in its way, in its presentation. It's very dark, but actually the songs are so full of hope. It's like a light that kind of shines through. Then you get was it Zoo Roper after that, which again I loved even more. I didn't think Acton Baby could be beat, but then Zoo Roper, which was all recorded in the same sort of time. What is it? It's like an Acton Baby runoff. But that seems to me to get actually a little bit more intense and a little bit more personal. And again, it's brilliant, right? And then you get Pop, which is like on the surface really, really bright and breezy and poppy and everything else, but actually it's really, really dark. It's almost the reverse of Acton Baby. So those three albums for me, as a package, I absolutely love. But everything that came after that, and I've tried, I just have not been able to get into at all.
Yeah, but and that does happen.
But that's me, right? And it's nothing to do with nostalgia, and it's nothing to do with me, saying, well, the band of shit now because they've done that. It's just because they moved on in a different direction to where I wanted to go. It's like you jump on the fan bus whilst you like the stuff they're doing. As soon as you don't like the stuff they're doing, well, get off the bus. But I'm not going to slag them off and say, well, they're not as good as they were. It's just, it's just not my cup of tea. That's my cup of tea. Like that. Thing, isn't it? I loved all that stuff. If they do something, that I like in the future, could be like Acton, could be like War October, or it could be something completely new. I'll either like it or I won't, and that's it. Yeah. So
well, that's the thing, isn't it? Stuff changes.
But it's nothing to do with my rose-tinted glasses, mate. I keep them locked in a drawer in a cupboard down the bottom of the stairs, and I very rarely stick them on. Do you know what I mean? Very rarely.
I'm not saying about you specifically.
Yeah, you're having a go, mate. You're digging at me.
Things evolve and change, and you, anyone, says, oh, I don't like it. Well, other people will like it.
Exactly,
and
true.
Becomes,
they will.
It becomes not for you. And for me, well, going back to U2, after Joshua Tree and Rattle and Hum and the success of all that, they deliberately wanted to do something different.
They mixed it up totally, didn't they?
Chop down the Joshua Tree, and which led to Acton Baby. And that kind of, saved the band, saved things for them because they needed to do something different. And then, there were fans who, like me, I like all of it. And it takes, a band has to really, really kind of go off, for me to kind of lose my interest in them. And sometimes you grow up as well. Like I used to be really into the Smashing Pumpkins a long time ago.
Oh, I remember them.
To see them,
I quite like them as well.
Loved it all, and it was great music. But just kind of got out of it a little bit.
You went your direction. They went their direction.
Yeah, and maybe
diverged.
They experimented as well. They did the Adore
album,
band,
mate.
Which was really kind of heavier, electronica stuff, and I really liked that. And I was a big Sheryl Crow fan, which is obviously quite different to both of those bands. And then she was, knocking out kind of, glorious pop rock stuff, and then went and did a soul album. And I don't really like soul music that much, and it kind of, went off her. But then sometime last year, found one of the albums cheap on iTunes, Fiverr, one of the more recent ones. I bought it. I thought I'll give her a go again. I loved her.
I love Sheryl.
It was so good.
Yeah. So it's not always about nostalgia, then, is it? Really? It might be partially, because you might think, like when I listen to Rattle and Hum or something, I think back to when I was, on holiday somewhere with me and my mates in, wherever it was. Yeah, and there's things like that.
Maybe, but there's a quote.
But
from
I
Walt
could listen
Disney
to it quite happily now and not think that at all. So.
No, I don't do that. This quote from Walt Disney, he said something like, "We're always moving forward and looking forward. We're not interested in looking back." And I do like old albums, and but I'm excited for
what's
the future
coming up next
and what's to come. And what I mean about nostalgia is that I think I'm wary that the 60th appears to only celebrate a specific time.
But yeah, we don't know the full story though, do we? Yeah.
No, we don't.
But I get where you're coming from, because the indicators are very strong.
Yes, and I am also worried that it will undo what's been done, and I'll come back to that. But I, like there's another Indiana Jones out at the moment.
Oh yeah, Dial of Destiny.
Do we need it? Maybe not. But what's interesting with that is that it hasn't done very well. And
it's only been out one weekend. It was only out last Thursday.
Well, it's not done what they were expecting, but that doesn't mean it's bad, of course. But what it reminds me of is when Terminator Dark Fate came out a couple of years ago.
Did we need that?
And also, did we need it? Not necessarily, no. But there is a point to this, and it was the same with Prometheus and Covenant,
that was
the
awful.
Alien films.
I didn't like those at all.
So these are films that are aimed at you and me, people of our age, okay?
Yeah.
I can't go to the cinema to see everything that I want to.
Me neither.
I have a family. I don't have
got
the
other
money
things
to
to
do
spend money on. It's not cheap these days.
So I have to. It's not, and I have to pick what I want to see. Like, there might be 2 films in a month, and only one of them's going to make the cut for me at the cinema. So I think that there is an audience for Indiana Jones, but they're not going to the cinema. And like for me, if I was an indie fan, I would be picking Mission Impossible over it this month. And the same when the Alien films came out. The younger audience that predominantly go to the cinema.
Never heard of the old Alien films.
They don't know.
Yeah.
I remember talking
Indiana
to
Jones
people.
is like, well, that's old, isn't it? That's 1980s.
They don't know it.
What?
So
I don't watch that anymore.
On one hand, I think the nostalgia is being mined, for money.
I gotcha. I see where you're going.
But it's not. It doesn't. The film is. If you're an indie fan, I think it's great fun.
Have you seen it?
It hasn't worked. No, I haven't.
You're waiting to see Tom Cruise, aren't you?
I can't go to both, and I'm also not a massive indie fan. It's fine, I enjoy it, but that's not the one.
You can wait till it comes out on whatever it's going to come out on.
Well, let's not get into
Paramount.
It'll be
Paramount Plus, won't it? It's a Paramount film, so it'll be on.
No, it's Disney.
Is it Disney?
It'll be now. Let's get on to that. Actually, I will.
Anyway,
no, it's not.
sorry, go on.
So, a film comes out in the cinema. I'll say, let's pick Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. I'm going to take my kids to see that this weekend.
Oh, I've seen the trailer for that. Yeah, the high school
good.
student who spits tentacles and animated, right? Disney thing.
In 2 weeks' time, it's.
Is it Disney or is it Amblin?
I don't
whatever
know. DreamWorks, maybe.
That's what I meant.
Anyway, it's on home rental in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
So
I wanted to go see Evil Dead Rise. I can rent it in a fortnight.
You're not missing much there, mate.
I wanted to see Fast X because Brie was in it. He said, "Were they available to rent?" It only just came out in the cinema.
Yeah, short window, mate.
And
that's what it is.
And then on the flip side of that, I saw an article a little while ago that said the frustrating wait for Avatar: Way of Water to come out on streaming because it took 6 months. Frustrating.
Was it even,
we can't have it.
Be 6 months. I suppose it wasn't it?
It was 6 months. Because do you know what?
Yeah.
That's what it used to be like. And
back in the old days, film used to come out the following year, but it wasn't on telly.
Yeah.
It was on video.
No.
You had to go queue up at Blockbusters to get it. Put your name down.
But
actually, that was true.
I understand that things. It's true, yeah. But I understand that things change. But if Indiana Jones has just come out, and people will look at it and think, I'll probably be able to watch it at home in a couple of weeks, so they won't bother going to see it. Whereas if they knew,
therefore the film becomes a flop and a failure and blah blah blah.
Yeah, look at all the Pixar films and the recent Disney animated films. They're absolutely fine, overall. But people have become conditioned, and it's a pandemic thing, to say, it'll be on Disney Plus in 3
I must
4
admit,
weeks.
I do find myself saying that quite a lot, and it's but what it is, it's like that they're always so you're going to choose, right, Mission Impossible, right, because that's your love, right? You love, and I do actually, I I'd love to see that in a movie.
You've discovered that
I didn't enjoy the first one, but I liked all the other ones afterwards with increasing amounts of love, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I going to say? I was going somewhere with this. Yes, so you will pick and choose, like you said, as to what you're going to see at the cinema, right? So you're always going to favour the thing that you love the most. But there's going to be a whole lot of stuff which comes a very close second. That second and third place is going to be populated by many, many different things. And like you said, you cannot possibly afford to go and pay, what is it, 15 quid at the cinema every time and all the rest of it.
And I don't have the free time to do it.
So with a lot of things now, exactly, that's it. I can't remember, you and I were talking about something like this, but you got offended because I said I'm going to wait until it comes out on, what were we talking about, Jeff? It was a film, wasn't it?
Oh,
and I said to you, Guardians, that was it, Volume 3. And I said, I
went to I went to treat my eyes at the IMAX, and you said you were going to wait till streaming, and it wasn't that you were waiting to watch it on streaming per se. It was the fact that you would offend your eyes by watching it on a small TV. And no matter what you say,
I tell you, mate, you haven't seen my TV. You haven't seen my home cinema setup.
It's not an IMAX. End of story.
It doesn't have to be. I tell you, my IMAX is shit.
It does.
My IMAX is shit. It's just a fucking noise. It's just a wall of static noise that offends my ears. There is no definition anywhere in that audio spectrum. It's just everything is all turned up to the max. All the levels are up in red from the bass right up to the treble. Everything is maxed out in red, and it's just coming at me at millions of decibels. And the screen, so flipping huge, I can only focus on that bit of it anyway. What's the point of giving me all that? I've either got to look right up there in the corner or right down there in the middle. Pointless.
That's why you sit in the second or third row back, mate. So you can see the whole
but then
thing.
What's the point? I might as well just watch my telly. And it's there. My telly's big enough, and at least I've got...
Not the same.
It is better.
If anyone's still listening at the moment,
we will get back to Doctor Who in a minute.
Yeah.
What were we saying?
Going back to
so the point of this was nostalgia, wasn't it? I think that's where. So you're worried that the 60th is going to be a big old nostalgia fest, and we're not going to move forward.
No, that's not quite right, because obviously it's the 60th.
Yes.
It's going to look back. That's fine, but my concern is it's only looking back to one specific point.
No, there's a point. Mm-hmm.
But, of course, we don't know what's happened behind closed doors.
Yes.
But I do worry that Tennant coming back will, if it goes wrong, which, there's always a possibility that, it's just not the same. It's just not as good. It will.
I see what you mean. So the reviews are going to be like, David Tennant came back. He was looking a little bit older. Wasn't quite sprightly on his feet. We'd seen this story before. We've had the music before. It didn't do anything new. Blah blah. That sort of thing.
Or probably no one will admit that if that is the case.
They might do though. Some of those TV reviews in the Daily Mail, mate.
Maybe. Yeah. But do you ever watch something or listen to something and then? Like I was saying, sometimes you lose interest. Yeah, and I'm not saying I'll lose interest in it at all because I love the show, and something's got to go
hideously
really
wrong.
Off course for me to say I'm done with it. I just worry that it will retroactively affect the 10th Doctor era and I don't know.
Well,
just do something to it, and also I worry a little bit that I'll just be honest. I think it looks really stupid that we have 2 David Tennants in the Doctor lineup now.
I can't really argue with you on that one, mate. I do agree, much as it pains me.
And people listening know that we actually like Doctor Who and we're positive about it.
Really do. But when you see 2 David Tennants in the lineup of all the Doctors, you think, oh come on, this is...
I think I would have been...
a bit ridiculous.
I would have felt differently if...
But they're a different Doctor. 10th. Yeah, true.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's not really working for me. I think if he'd been the 10th Doctor again, and there'd been some sort of timey-wimey nonsense, and 13 had turned back into 10, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen.
That's what we thought, wasn't it?
I think we said I thought they were going to degenerate. Maybe we would have briefly seen the other 12, 11, and gone back to him because you had the forced, regeneration and stuff in Power of the Doctor. But then, Tennant comes out, he's wearing that whole new suit, so I immediately thought, well, he's not obtaining that in the episode, do you know what I mean? So, he immediately something's different here. And it could be that we discover that actually he is 10, because apparently he plays it very similar to 10, so, maybe they're just calling him 14 to hide some story stuff, I don't know.
It's possible.
But
we could actually be lied to.
We could be, and we could come back to this in a couple of months' time and say...
Oh, it was amazing. We were totally wrong-footed.
Oh, no. And the thing is, I'm sure it'll be great fun, and I'm looking forward to it, but I also worry that it will undo Donna's stuff as well. Donna had... I know you don't like the ending of Series 4, but...
It was forced closure, is what it was.
Yeah, and it was a shame because, Donna had... this great journey and became a better person, more experienced, and blah blah blah. And then whilst it was really sad, actually, like you said, it was a forced thing, and she lost the memories. And then they brought her back in the end of time. And some gobbledygook about her brain overloading and
whatever it was,
energy stuff coming out, and then she still didn't remember any of it anyway, so I'm sort of...
Yeah, I was confused by that, actually. I thought, has she been fixed or has she not been fixed? Does she remember? Does she not remember?
How does she come back again now?
Well, we shall soon find out.
I've got concerns, but like I said earlier, I'm sure it'll be great fun, and we'll be surprised and wowed by what's gone on behind closed doors in it, and when we discover it. But I see Ncuti, on his interviews that he's done and photos of him with fans and stuff, and he's got this massive beaming smile, and he looks full of energy, and he's a little bit cheeky, and I kind of think...
Just go straight to that.
Do you know what? Either they should have paid Jodie more to stay on for the 60th and have her front it, or they should have, started filming with... do you know what, they were probably a little bit up against it because she didn't stay on to do the 60th, and no new Doctor is going to want to front the 60th.
Well, Jodie had gone for she'd already been gone a year before Power of the Doctor was on TV, hadn't she?
But look how long ago they shot the 60th stuff. It was last year, so it's been in the can for ages. So it's not even about we need to shoot it 4 months before broadcast.
But then there's maybe a lot of legal things as well. I mean, don't forget that the whole property's kind of transferred over, the whole partnership deal with Bad Wolf and Disney.
True.
If that was going on, then as a BBC executive, you what do? You can't retain an actor not knowing what's going to happen because Disney might might say, well, we've got to have this guy, and they might have done, who knows, or Bad Wolf and everything else. When you look at the lineup, right, the production crew, you got all those kind of known quantities. Russell T Davies, tick, known quantity, he can write good Doctor Who shit, right? Murray Gold, we know what we're going to get with Murray, it's safe, tick the box. David Tennant, Catherine Tate, tick, tick, tick. All those teams, all the old team, Phil Collinson, Julie Gardner, all of that, all coming back together to create what was really popular like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. It's safe, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Do you feel that, as some people would like to say, that this is being done to keep
people happy? I don't think it's course correction. I think it's let's keep stakeholders happy day. I think that's what it is. Let's not give them any risks, right? We know Doctor Who was very, very popular when it was being written by Russell T Davies, when it featured David Tennant, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So it's and actually the 60th does give them the best opportunity to bring that back into the mix, because the whole idea a Doctor Who anniversary is, or has been historically by its nature, very kind of nostalgic. It's been backward looking, even from the very first one.
It should be
the Three Doctors.
Yeah, but this is just and disclaimer, we don't know, but it's looking.
But I do think
a very
I
think
very
specific, and I know there's a lot of other people who are not thrilled, and
Well, I think it's what, let's keep, I think it is that. I think there's and if it's not entirely that, it's a big it's mostly, or some fraction of it, is about let's keep the stakeholders happy. They need to show a return for Bad Wolf, for the BBC, for Disney, for whoever else has got money in the pot of this thing, right? So the best way we can do that is fall back on known quantities.
Yeah, I understand, but I would say that
whether the art will suffer because of that, possibly.
Well, maybe, but I also think that
we shall soon find out.
Doctor Who is bigger than any one actor and any one incarnation, and
I agree. Yeah,
but they were. Yeah, you're right. There's probably a stakeholder thing. They were slightly up against it. Jodie's finished. We can't bring a new Doctor in for the 60th. What do we do? What do we do? I suppose it would have just, for me,
throw it at the wall.
It would have been nice if he was the 10th Doctor again and not a new one.
Yeah.
So that's my concerns. But I'm excited for shooty stuff. He looks great.
Yes.
Let's talk about the other stuff around it then for a minute, because it's funny really, because again they've got a slightly difficult job, because Jodie's era finished October, November last year, and there's not going to be anything on screens for a year, and so they need to get some hype going, but they're probably not going to blow all of the 60th stuff come like now. They're going to wait till October, November, however they air these episodes, one a week, every whatever it might be. But the stuff that's coming out at the minute, so there's the Doomsday series, and the is it called Once and Future for Big Finish? That's a story where
I did see something about it.
It starts with the 4th Doctor. No, it starts. I think it's the 8th. And he's forced. He degenerates into number 4.
But I've got to pay money for that, mate.
Well,
I've got to pay money for Doomsday as well.
Some of it. Now I'll come to Doomsday in a minute. And I listened to the first episode of Once and Future, and I really enjoyed it. It had Kate Stewart and Osgood in it. It was good. It was good fun. And the 11 was in it. I think it was the 11. The Schizo Time Lord, who was.
I'm trying to look online something about it,
but then the second one was 5th Doctor and Jenny. Georgia. Moffat. And then the new one is 6th Doctor with Jackie Tyler for some reason. And I've seen quite a lot of people saying they weren't that wowed by it, and it almost feels a bit like they've dartboarded random names.
Do you know what that seems to me? I hate to say this, but it feels very.
Hold that thought just for what.
Go on.
And people have been feeling that it's just individual stories with no real connection.
Oh, is
to
it?
them. But then I will say that the 50th audio series that they did, that BBC Audio did, which was one story per Doctor. And there was some elements that strung it together. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head.
Was it Destiny the Doctor? Was that it?
That's the one, yeah. And it was good, but they were essentially individual stories with little threads that connected to them.
I can't reach them at the moment.
And it was good. But then the Big Finish one was was it like what did they call theirs? I can't remember what the Big Finish one was called, but that was a real big old epic.
Was it Legacy of the Doctor?
Maybe, because they also did Light. Was it Light at the end? And they did begin because they did one for the end of the 200 the monthly range as well, didn't they?
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway, so I've just seen quite a few people saying that they so far haven't been kind of wowed by Once and
Where
Future.
did you see these people, Jeff? Are we talking on social media again?
And I should make up my own mind about it.
You should.
And like I said, I did enjoy the first one, but like you said, it's a lot of money to buy it, and I just can't afford to buy it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can choose to buy it or not, can't you? But then the problem
you're not being forced to.
But the problem is, it's like, well, are you missing out on something? Here's the thing: in your favourite kind of show, and something's being produced that actually you probably love and want to keep and cherish and all that, but you just got to pay $100 for it or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I mean, when they did the previous ones, it was a really lovely book, release with the discs in and stuff, and it was a 2-hour whatever. Adventure, but this one is, 8 installments, so it's a lot more to buy. And you're right. I mean, you don't have to buy any of it, of course. There's no necessity or being forced to do so. And I would like to take part in it and listen to it. And do I feel like I'm missing out? No, not hugely, because I also know that the very last part... that's the one, yeah.
What's the legacy of the Doctor anyway? It's somewhere.
I also know that the last part of Once and Future isn't coming out until like next October or something.
Really? So you got to wait, spread out over a year or something.
Which means that it could feature the 14th Doctor based on rights and licensing and stuff. You know, so it's kind of
that'd be kind of unprecedented in a way, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be, but then you got to wait to finish it. You know, so I'm sort of a bit like, I will listen to it, but I'm not chomping at the bit to do it. And also because
I'll wait till it comes out on offer. I'll wait until it comes out on streaming.
In 2 weeks, the next unit audio set is coming out, and I really like the unit one, so I thought, well, I'll get that over Once and Future. But I did want to hear the one with Five and Jenny, and so at some point I will get onto it. But anyone listening, if you've stuck through our streaming off topic, I'd love to know what you think of it, and you know what it's like so far. And then of course there's Doomsday as well, which is a thing on the Doctor Who website, some bits in DWM, a book, a bunch of audio. So essentially 24 mini stories that take place.
Is it 24 stories? I didn't know that.
Well, it's I think so. It's 24 hours that Doom has to find the Doctor within before death gets to her, and I've read the bit in DWM and it was good. You know, that's it. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
It's quite light, isn't it? Did they put the price up by £5 for this as well?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, I'm subscribed, so I didn't think it affected me.
Yeah, I did
really see a bit of buzz.
So that's a bit cheeky, isn't it? I didn't ask for that, and they put me up a £5 and a thing I don't even want.
Which is actually a little bit cheeky, I think, to be honest.
It is a little bit
cheeky.
But my understanding is that Doom is being chased by death. He's trying to find the Doctor, to get rid of death. Presumably I can just read the last part of it to find out what happens.
Does she get the Doctor or does she not? And does it
does
it affect anything within the main TV show, perhaps?
Well, I've seen people saying no, it's its own thing, and they've tried something different here, and the 24-hour concept is really cool. Personally, Doom being the universe's greatest assassin is not lining up with the kind of image and the description in DWM of the Uber of assassins, like dial an assassin or something.
Doesn't that make for the best assassin, the ones that you least expect to be an assassin?
Well,
the friendly faces.
That's what they were saying.
I mean, Susan Kempner has a very friendly face, and she would.
Yeah, she looks
not think that she could literally lance you in the back of the face with a toilet brush from a million miles off or something. But I'll tell you what, looks.
I suppose looks can be deceptive.
Very deceptive, and the best assassins are those who don't look like assassins, my friend, or behave like assassins. If you saw someone coming at you, right, dressed up like a ninja, throwing shuriken and all sorts of different things, right, you'd run a mile, wouldn't you? Whereas if somebody like me you probably would actually still run a mile. But say somebody like who just looks like somebody in the street just walked past you, right, and assassinated you like that, and you didn't even know about it until you fell down on the floor. That's it. Who was that? Who did that? Don't know. Could have just been the baby in the buggy, the least one you expect.
I don't know.
So I must admit, I don't get this. I don't buy her as the big assassin from how she looks or whatever. And I haven't read the comic yet. To be honest, I don't really I don't know. I'll have to read the comic before I decide if I want to engage with any more of it. At the moment, I must admit, I'm not. I don't feel like I need to watch or read or buy anymore. To be fair, because I just like Doctor Who. To be honest. And I'm not that fussed for spin-offs and multimedia concepts and things like that.
We can come to that in a
give me more Doctor Who, because that's all I want,
I hadn't. That's a fair point about the assassin thing. In my head, I was picturing Gamora, and Gamora is all the Terminator.
Yeah, but she looks like an assassin, doesn't she? She looks like a killer. She looks brutal.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
So fair enough about the Doom character, but to me. And again, no one's forcing anyone to do anything with it, but to get the entire story, you need to play the mobile game. You've got to buy 4 Big Finish things.
That's the thing that puts me off more than anything. That's
and like I said, I think you could just get the last one, which will be the resolution of it, and it makes me think a bit of Time Lord Victorious, which is the one they did with the 10th Doctor a few years ago.
So I don't get any of that either. I just couldn't be bothered.
So I got a fair bit of it.
You liked some of it, didn't you?
Well, what I really liked was essentially there was 2 books, which had 10 leading it, and he was in the Time Lord Victorious era, so he was sort of anti-hero really, and they pushed it a bit far, I felt, but it also had 8 and 9 in it, which was quite nice. And but you could get basically the entire story in these 2 books. This brilliant alien race called the Katora. They go around to different planets, and they've got the ability to sort of read the species and say you're going to do great good or you're going to cause great harm.
They can dip into its time or timeline.
And then they judge them and say,
they're judging you.
4 years left before we return.
Is it like
destroy you?
Like Britain's Got Talent or something?
Sort of
judging.
But,
you got 4 years.
Genocidal.
Genocidal BGT.
It was a really. Time Lord Victorious was a
multimedia,
pretty good books.
Blah blah blah.
And I started listening to the Big Finish stuff with 8, and they were good. But I was like, this really makes no difference in the main crux of the story.
It's a bit of fun though, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it started with a bang. I've always described it as this. It started with a bang, ended with a whimper, and it was, fair play. They gave something, good. It was something different a go, like they're doing with Doomsday, but it's I don't know. It's just a bit like you don't need to get all of it to get it, and if you only get a couple of bits, I suppose you get a standalone adventure, but it also sort of connects to the large thing. It doesn't quite work on its own, and it's a weird sort of halfway, I think.
Yeah.
But particularly like I said, Time Lord Victorious, the main 2 books, All Flesh is Grass and something I can't remember the other one. They were really good. So yeah, Doomsday. I've not. You
haven't really engaged with it, okay?
No.
Right. Well, do you know what? For me, so this is the thing, right? And despite however the story's been told, and however many different media, however much money I do or don't have to pay for it, the one thing that is the most important and should be the most important thing in all of this stuff, and regardless whether it's the 60th anniversary, the 14th series, or whatever, the story is what counts every single way. If the story's strong enough, then I'll invest in it. If it's not strong enough, like you're saying, the Time Lord Victorious start with a bang, ended with a whimper, I'm going to feel cheated if I stayed with it that long. So, it's... And hold on. So Doctor Who has always been good with stories. That's the thing, because back in the day, mate, when they didn't have millions of dollars an episode, right? It's also come under criticism for wobbly sets and stuff like that. So you could not be a fan of Doctor Who if you allowed the things on the surface to really matter. It has to be about the stories. And as I said, the best stories come out of the best characters, because they're real, they're believable. You understand them, you go through what they go through. And whilst Doctor Who has a tendency towards melodrama and fantasy and all the rest of it, the stories are the thread that keeps you going with all that stuff.
Well,
so it's not about. It shouldn't be about. And this is the thing that's kind of annoying me slightly with all the online chatter at the moment. It's not about the stories we're going to see. It's not about how brilliant this story could be. It's actually who's producing it. Why is David Tennant back? What's Catherine Tate doing in there? What's going to happen with Donna? Did she? All the stuff we've actually been talking about for the last hour or so.
Yeah.
But the one thing we haven't talked about is the story that we're likely to see. Now, the anniversary stories have always been a lot of fun. You look at the 3 Doctors, right? It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cheese, right? It's a lot of panto, but it's a brilliant, brilliant Christmas Doctor Who to watch. It's perfect. Put the 3 Doctors on at Christmas, you love it. And it moved the tail on because at the end of that, right, even though we had Patrick Troughton and William Hartnell in his last Doctor Who appearance. It moved the story on because the Doctor's exile was lifted. He was able to go to other planets thereafter, and blah blah blah, and all the rest of it. You know, Fifth Doctor again with the 5 Doctors, right? Great to see all the old people return, all the old monsters, and but there's lots of new mythology stuff in there which moved the show on. So I'm really hopeful that actually again with the 50th, right? So we didn't get so much nostalgia. But we did get the 10th Doctor returning, which was kind of nostalgic in itself, given that he'd been so popular. But at the end of that, we got the lifting of the whole kind of weight of the survivor guilt from the Doctor, and the Doctor was able to continue.
Moved it on,
So, with the 60th, who knows what we're going to see moving the show forward. Yes, we're going to have a lot of backwards-looking stuff, which to my mind is very natural with the 60th. But, we got things like flipping Star Beast, Meep, Beep and Meep, from the DWM comics from the 70s. Honestly, I mean, that's great, right? That's not just nostalgia. Try saying that. That's not just nostalgia. That's hard, right? That's that for me is like bringing something out of the comic strip. It is bring something out of the comic strips. It's recognising that Doctor Who has been more than just the TV show to a lot of people of a certain generation.
I think
comics.
It's good. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I love that, and And also,
I was going to say, I'm hopeful. Yeah,
you are very hopeful, and I'm going to make you hopeful, my friend. I shall instill your excitement for Doctor Who right back, because we got Neil Patrick Harris's character, who looks amazing, right?
Yeah,
who is he?
I really like.
What does he do?
Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah.
How do those 3 stories? What is it? So we got TARDIS, and we got Star Beast. Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle, right? Those are the 3 60th anniversary specials. How do they come together? What story is that going to tell? I cannot wait to see it. And to be honest, I do take your point. I wish we'd gone to straight to Shooty or that Jodie had stayed, but she didn't stay. And Shooty, it hasn't gone straight to Shooty. We got David Tennant. And we got Donna Noble. And from our recent sort of rewatches of a few 10th Doctor Donna stories, they're bloody fantastic. They are really good. Yeah. So I would much rather look at all the things I'm looking forward to about the 60th than all the stuff that might go wrong with it, that might concern me about it, that might ruin the show or spoil my enjoyment, or how I look back at the. I get that those things are there, and I'm not trying to minimalise it. Well, I am actually trying to minimalise it. I'm trying to put them down into some sort of perspective that they're not actually the things that should really matter. And I think a lot of the danger, because we do all get wrapped up in online chatter, is that the narrative becomes all about those things, which are not the story. We don't know what the story is, so we're going to talk about these other things instead, and we can get swept away with that. But I think you've got to try and maintain a sort of perspective on it, almost like a bird's eye perspective. You can see, you're flying above like a seagull. No, an eagle. Let's not be a seagull. Who wants to be a seagull? I'd much rather be an eagle or a pterodactyl. Right. So you're flying above the prehistoric landscape like a pterodactyl, and you're seeing all these delta flows, all these rivers sort of interconnecting, all the rest of it. But you know what? Everyone's focusing on one river. That's it. And there's all this other wonderful landscape which nobody's looking at. Nobody's paying attention. And let's imagine for a moment that actually within that delta somewhere there are lots of surprises that we are yet to see and be amazed by.
Well, yes, I'm sure that will be the case with it.
Pterodactyl, with a silent P.
What are you most excited about for what's coming that we only know a little bit about? We don't, or that might happen that we don't know anything about?
Ooh, I'm actually quite excited by Neil Patrick Harris's character. Don't know who it is.
Yes,
there's a lot of talk about, is it the Celestial Toy Maker, or is it something else? I see, part of me really wants it to be the Celestial Toy Maker, but a bigger part of me wants it to be something else. The excitement is in just finding that out and how it affects the Doctor. My idea is that somehow whoever he or they are in who Neil plays, I kind of think it's just affected. I still stick to this idea that the Doctor's regeneration has been hijacked.
Yeah,
that's my fan theory, if you like.
Well, that's what I was saying. You know, it would have been good if you know he you know, Jodie had degenerated back to 10, and maybe it still will be that. You know, and there's
or maybe someone is pulling the
here.
Doctor's previous lives apart, and the Doctor is kind of experiencing them in this weird thing, and maybe the regeneration sort of, I don't know, tied into that somehow, or provided the perfect opportunity for that Neil Patrick Harris or whoever he is to take control.
Yeah, it's an odd time really, because we're having to wait such a long time for everything, and
had so long to wait. So our soaring pterodactyl is like, where's my Doctor Who?
And
Doctor Who? Where's my eggs?
I'm just going to cut that. It will be here before we know it.
Yes, it will.
You know, we'll have some new episodes to review, and you know, a whole load of new stuff to talk about, and then I imagine that the excitement of that giggle episode that will then lead to you know, a nail-biting period whilst we wait for Shooty to take over properly, and you know what's going to happen there. And
so when's that supposed to kick in? Do we know?
Well, it says festive period on the press release,
festive
so that might
period.
be Christmas Day, could be Boxing Day,
Christmas
nobody
Day
knows.
2024.
Could be New Year's Day. No, this year.
Oh, so we get the 60th in November-ish.
Yeah,
and then we get Shooty starting in possibly Christmas. Is that right?
And then and then
series next year.
Imagine, early next year.
Oh, that's exciting.
You know, because apparently they go straight to shooting series 15, ready to put that out latter part of next year.
That's the other thing, isn't it? Once it goes out on Disney, mate, it's just going to be like a factory. Just churn it out. Churn it out. Yeah, none of these year-long waits between seasons like we had in the old days.
No.
I remember the early 20-teens. We had to wait years between the Doctor Who series. Peter Capaldi had 4 children between series 8 and 9 and got a lot older. Yeah. Blimey, that was a day, wasn't it? Yeah, see the size of his hair growth, mate? That's 50 years in between series, that is. That's time travel for you. Yeah. Oh, I remember those days. Hey. The Doctor Who could be Doctor Who for 10 years and only do 5 stories. It's not quite that bad, was it? But
no, but
then the reverse of that, churn it out. Is it going to lose certain things? I don't know. Is it just going to be a bit like, you know, sort of cannon fodder TV?
I don't.
Just print it off.
I mean, you know,
it's like a mass printing machine. Just print off tons of AI-written Doctor Who stories.
Okay.
Anyway, on that note, maybe we should end it.
Yes. Thank you for listening. We hope you've stuck with us through our divergence into streaming discussion.
We have rattled on a bit.
And let us know what you're excited for or fearful about for the future. And if you've been listening to Once and Future or reading and listening to Doomsday, let us know what your thoughts are on that as well. And we will see you very soon on Who Corner to Corner.
Bye for now.